Hi everyone, this is Miriam from Keto My Way. Uh, I have an unusual setup today. The camera is on the changing table and I'm sitting on a piano bench. My husband is with the baby. My granddaughter is out with her dad for a while, and my daughter is sanding something out in the garage, so I had a few minutes here. First of all, I want you to see my beautiful necklace that my granddaughter picked out, and I wore this shirt today, so I knew I was getting a necklace, and I said, there's so many colors in this shirt that whatever she gives me, it's bound to match. I can't believe it's like she had the shirt with her and she picked this out. And my son in law said, well, you sort of do have the fashion sense of a 3 year old, so I'm not surprised you like it. Anyway, I love it. I think it's lovely and I love the tassels. Anyway, I'm calling, not calling, I'm recording this and I'm going to share something with you. I had a really bad binge last night. And how I define really bad is like nothing like it was in the olden days. I had like, 3 Oreo cookies and a couple of something else. And I had just told my coach that morning, she says, when do your ketones go low? And I says, well, they don't go low anymore because I haven't eaten anything that hasn't been keto, since early August, if that. And even having said that, I mean, I sort of shocked myself. I knew where it was coming from. I could have stopped it. Well, I couldn't have stopped it, otherwise I would have. I know in the aftermath what I could have done to stop it, and I'm thinking I didn't want to. What I did learn from it is I was thinking what led up to it. But first of all, I just want to go somewhere with this before I tell you what happened yesterday that I think precipitated the binge. I was talking with my coach, and I've talked with my friends before, and I said, when you come to keto with disordered eating, and I've talked about this before, it's much easier because if you're not eating sugar and you're not eating things with flour in it, and you're not eating that whole variety of food, you don't have the physical cravings. And in that sense, it's easier because every night I'm not looking for something. But if you still have that crazy binge mentality, it doesn't, I hope it goes away someday, but it doesn't go away. I think the people who find that they don't binge at all or go off of their plan at all doing keto are probably the people who came to keto just that they hadn't had an awareness prior to this. I remember when my daughter and her then boyfriend, now her husband, went on Weight Watchers for the first time, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I remember Ida calling me and saying, Mom, like, I didn't know there's like 47 points in, 2 chicken wings from KFC or something like that. I mean, she was just unaware of what was in things. She didn't know, she didn't read labels. She didn't know the, 40 names for sugar. If something didn't have sugar on the label, she said, okay, it doesn't have sugar. Things like that. But then there are people like me who really have this emotional side to it. And it happens less and less frequently. And it's easier and easier to say no, but it does happen. So I just want to talk briefly about what I think led up to this. I don't know how many of you have a Wegmans. It's like Whole Foods on steroids. And I went into Wegmans yesterday. I don't usually go there, but I happened to be in the area. I was so overwhelmed when I walked in that I should have turned around and walked out. I was just killing time because I was picking up my granddaughter and I was picking her up from a store that was next door, and they were going to arrive in like a half an hour. And I said, okay, I'll just go to Wegmans and see what there is. And as soon as you walk in is the produce section. I have to tell you that produce, even more than bread and pasta and things like that, produce is my downfall. Whether we're talking salads or carrots or whatever, or the fruit, or I mean, I just was I was so overwhelmed. And you walk in and the prepared food bars are there. So I knew I was getting overwhelmed, and it was dinner, and I knew that my granddaughter was going to want a Happy Meal or something like that. So I went and I got a little piece of salmon and some couple of spears of asparagus and some grilled zucchini. And I said, okay, well, let me eat so I won't be hungry. What you hear is the doggy. And I won't be hungry, and because I knew hunger was going to make it worse. So I ate that. But anyway, so I walked through the store, and right next to the produce department is the bread and the bakery, and that didn't bother me too much, believe it or not. And then I walked towards the back because I wanted to get a fermented drink that a friend told me about, and it was in the cheese department. And I went to the cheese department, and even though we can eat cheese on keto, the cheese department is like as big, not as big as, maybe a quarter of big as my regular supermarket, just the cheese. And so I just was so damn, excuse my language, I was so overwhelmed. It was too much food to face, and it was too much things that I loved. If I walked into a box store and I walked down the paper aisle store, this wouldn't have happened. It was all the foods that I loved. And we're talking strawberries and asparagus and broccoli and pears, and I mean, we're not talking the bakery department, but just that was overwhelming. And so I already felt this anxiety, and I get anxious like that, and I felt that anxiety starting to bubble up. And then my daughter wanted a Happy Meal, which is fine. But she wanted to go in. Sometimes I pick it up when we go home and she eats and she's fine, but she wanted to go in. And she ate, and she was, playing and this, and there were maybe 4 French fries and this much of her hamburger, and I should have just gotten up and thrown it out, and I had it. And I said to myself, well, I bet this doesn't trigger any cravings. It's like 4 French fries and a bite of hamburger, and I had the salmon and I had the asparagus, and I'm aware of what's happening, and I'm aware that I'm anxious, and I'll just prove it wrong that this won't trigger cravings. Okay. I get home, 8 o'clock comes, 9 o'clock comes, 9:30. My husband keeps a whole stash of cookies, but I'm not blaming that. I mean, I would have found something if it wasn't the cookies. And I had 2 Oreos and one of those rolled cookies that looks like a finger, and I had a couple of those. And I went back and I had more. I didn't eat till I was sick. I mean, that's an improvement. But I didn't have one either. I had quite a bit, and I was aware of it. I tested my ketones. I was still in ketosis, but the stuff probably hadn't hit my blood yet. So, and I've had really good ketone numbers, so I think it would take more than what I ate to knock me out. But anyway, and I said, well, I have to share this with you, because if you're somebody who also knows people eating ketogenic, or sometimes somebody who has a Facebook page will say, well, I found out about ketogenic diet and I never went off, and I never had another piece of bread, and I never had a cookie, and I think about this, and I weigh Alzheimer's against that cookie, and I decided I'll never eat that cookie. And I mean, good for them, and I wish I was one of those people. But the reason I'm sort of doing this True Confessions is for those of you who still fight these things, you need to know that nothing is wrong with you. If you can't be the person who joins the ketogenic way of life and never turns back, and never has a cookie, and never has a piece of bread, never has a pasta, because and I'm thinking of that video I did about that love letter that my girlfriend wrote, the breakup with food. I could have sat down and done that, and it would have stopped me in my tracks, but my anxiety was so pervasive, it was so strong, and the food to me is like a tranquilizer. Again, I need to break up with food because it's not really, it's not good for me. And so I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, and I'm not saying that I'm okay with what happens. I'm not. But I wanted to let you know that if you happen to suffer like this, and it is a suffering, If you happen to be like this, I want you to know that you're not alone. And part of your joining my journey on Keto My Way is to see this and see how I work my way through it. I got up, I was fine. I'm not going down a rabbit hole. Um, my daughter made me that lemon cake that I posted on Keto My Way Facebook page. I haven't had a keto sweet since starting, but it is my birthday, and she made me the cake, and I'm going to have a slice. I don't think I'm going to bring it home because it still will be bingey. I'll still binge even if it's a keto food, but I'll enjoy my slice here and enjoy my birthday. So anyway, listen, this isn't what I had a whole list of stuff I was gonna I of videos for like this week, and I didn't intend to do this, but I said I have to be honest because I don't want you to feel it's all like, wow, I wonder if she ever cheats. No, yeah, I do. But it's not cheating. Binging isn't the same as cheating, so you need to know that. But I sort of scared myself. I think it'll be a long time before I do it again, if I do it at all. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you and I wanted to share with you. So listen, come to Keto My Way on my Facebook page and please tell me your story. We all need to hear what's going on. And if you've done it perfectly since starting, let's hear that too. Anyway, have a good day. Bye-bye, Keto My Way.